Yeah, I like the new intro. Some old school good jams. Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, and with me is my co-host, James Cole,
Superman of Red.
I was
Yo,
like,
yo, yo.
the Man of Steel himself. Long pauses and good times. What is up, James?
Oh, uh, excited to talk about some stuff.
Yeah, me too. I'm just gonna throw out a disclaimer. As we go through this episode, I'm just gonna say, like, these past episodes have been emotional, and you know, we we're going through stuff ourselves, and
three episodes in a row freaking make you cry, dude.
yeah, and we've been going through stuff ourselves. Just it's bringing up just with the passing of my sister-in-law, Jania's sister, and then today I just came from a funeral before we did this. So it's just been some sad, crazy stuff. So these episodes have just brought up a lot of discussions, and so yeah, if I'm just like, oh, that's why. So just bear with me, people. Just bear with me.
Tyler's gonna start crying later on live.
Shout out. We are still doing our Superman Saturdays. For the next few Saturdays, our good buddy Nate McKenzie won't be able to join us. There are some things going in his personal life that's causing some delays. So we give the best to our buddy Nate. So join us 9 a.m. sometimes 8:30. Watch along Eastern time for Superman the Animated Series. Coming up soon this month, the Gore Report, your monthly horror podcast with Mr. James Cole himself. Check out, we'll do requel specials where we do commentaries on movies that aren't comic related, like we do for our Krypton Report stuff. Jania and I just recorded let's split a bottle of wine and watched Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman because neither of us are a fan of that movie. The Superman, not Superman, Jesus, Tyler. The Supernatural Report, where James and I are watching and commentating through Supernatural. We'll be here till we're in our 80s.
Yeah.
And then coming up in the future, James and I will be having a special section on some of our episodes next year with this. Jania reads and reviews Superman for All Seasons, Superman Birthright, Superman Secret Origins, and All-Star Superman. And if you have any other that you think are, I always feel like these are the ones that are in conversations with people when it talks to like Superman graphic novels. I probably could throw the Death of Superman in there too if I want to, because I didn't want to give her too many, but I was thinking like, 5 to 7. Just some of the stories.
You definitely got some of the classics and some of the, the highlighted, like, most widely known and liked stories. I'm sure we could find a few that people know but are not like what people consider like your top tier Superman trades.
And that's the thing is, I wanted all the ones I picked so far for her to read are the ones that keep coming up in people's debates and conversations about what is the best and what should I read, and with everyone talking about All-Star, and we all know how we feel about All-Star Superman and everything. I'm gonna have Jania read them and give her feedback. So that's coming up next year. So, but hey,
you know what I might have to give her because she likes the Joker is I might just have to give her Superman Emperor Joker.
Yeah, we could do that
to
one.
read.
She might like that one. All right, let's see here. All right, I'm just getting a full but we have some news to go over. So let's start. Light the fires, Big Daddy. Light the tires. What was it? Man, I can't remember. Dang it, Tyler. I am bummed because we were going to have a special guest on this episode, but he is not feeling well. He's feeling sick, so he's not here. So shout out to our good buddy Levi, and we hope that you feel better
Yes,
because
sir.
nothing is as crappy as being sick and trying to podcast because nothing sounds worse than
Yeah,
podcasting
actually,
with a
I have.
stuffed nose.
Yeah, I have dental pain going on right now.
James, no one cares. We know you'll heal. You'll just blip, blip.
It's
All right.
rough.
So
It's
he's
been
like,
a
shut
rough
up.
like friggin' 5 or 6 days.
He's like, Tyler, you're a jerk. I'm like, yeah, I know how it is. All right. First things first, we got this DC Heroes United mobile game. Um, will I try it? Yes. Mobile
Yeah.
games sometimes can be fun. Just play it as you go. You're out and about. Um,
Yeah,
but
something about it is live choices, and depending changes like how the story progresses or something.
can always count on James to like, you know,
I
run the
watched the
game.
trailer once, and I didn't I haven't had a chance to really get into it.
But it's coming soon, So hey, you know. All right. The next item is if you're dirty, here's soap. Dr. Squatch is going to have the Dark Knight of Scrub and the Clown Prince of Rinse. Soap bars are coming soon.
Clown Prince Rinse. That's
I know.
hilarious.
And it sucked because this ad right here fooled me because I was like, oh, there's two. No, it's just the two soaps, which I hope
Yeah.
it's not just the same as like I told the kids like when they did the Riddler and the Batman for the Batman. I ordered those. Those came in really cool boxes and everything. Um, so I'm like, all right, cool. Next up on our agenda here, this ornament that I have to track down is the new Hallmark keepsake where it is Clark Kent ripping his shirt to Superman. I really like this one because it almost looks like he's wearing jeans, but it's like a gray suit, like a grayish blue suit with a black tie compared to that always having a what do you call it? Red tie and blue suit. So I am going to order this ornament for my Christmas this year.
I like that.
Um, next up is an untitled DC anime style action comedy series is in the works at Cartoon Network. Which this is weird. Like this is exciting. And I'm going to say what's interesting about this is it says anime style. So I kind of think I hope it's more in the vein of My Adventures with Superman.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find very fascinating is, man, I want to say, I think it was last year. The kids and I got an email because I was signed up to do like feedback on projects, and they showed us clips of this new DC cartoon that was in the works, and then we commented on it and did a questionnaire, and that's never been released to the public or talked about again. So I guess they did not decide to go with that series, which is kind of a bummer because it seemed like it could have been really cool. Um, so, all right, let's keep it going. Our next phase is our wave of McFarlane's. And this is why I was hoping Levi would be here. We got our first look at the announcement of Darkseid, the Walmart exclusive, Darkseid in the Throne Room.
The gold label with the throne.
And yeah, I just feel like they weren't selling any more Darkseid figures, so they just made a throne and then repackaged all the figures with a throne because it looks like the exact same Darkseid figure that you have.
I mean, it's the exact same dark side, so I assume that's possible.
Yeah, it's just because like you have the dark side figure where all the and I have the Yuxis figure. And what's the difference? A shirt.
The chest plate.
Yeah, he has the chest plate as dark side, and he's bare chested as Yuxis. Yuxis.
Yeah, I mean that's the majority of it.
And then we have this, the Nightmare Ben Affleck Batman multiverse figure.
Yeah, that's sick. I like it.
It's cool, but I don't like honestly. Like I don't need it. Like I always like buying
I
the
don't
ones with the
have that.
movies.
I don't. You have a lot of Batman figures. The only,
I do.
I only
All
have
mine are
a
from the movies,
couple of.
basically.
Yeah, I only have a couple of them, and they are like in the old Mattel line, and like they were like I have the Dark Knight Returns mech suit one, and I got that in the line to get the build a figure from that. And
I
so I
have
don't
a
have many Batman figures, and give me BVS Batman figures. Yeah, I'm down.
see. I have the regular BVS Batman. I found it at Target.
I want the regular one, I want the Nightmare one, and I want the armored suit one, which
We're getting
you
there. Calm down.
probably I was gonna say you got that image right there.
And I'm like, that's cool, but I'm not a huge fan of the whole armored suit one. But it's still cool that like it's there, you know. Um, it is neat that they're doing this whole BVS line. I would really wish they'd do the Man of Steel Superman figure. Um,
Me too.
with a Zod. I haven't bought like I was just buying a lot of my McFarlane's were the movie figures, but the ones I've won has been the Batman Forever and the Batman Returns, and they're like selling out fast, and then they jack the prices up. So the only one I have is the Clooney Batman, and then here's the Wonder Woman from BVS, which the only big difference is like so. I would like to see side by side the Wonder Woman right here, and then the Wonder Woman from
The Zack Snyder's Justice League one
no,
line.
they didn't wait. They didn't make one because they released the Wonder Woman for 1984 in
Mm,
her regular costume. So they didn't put out a Zack Snyder's Justice League Wonder Woman.
no?
So
Okay.
we got this BVS Wonder Woman. We have the Wonder Woman from 1984, and then we have the Wonder Woman from Shazam too,
Mm, right.
which is all the same suit. But the difference is, as was pointed out to me, it's the accessories it comes with
Yeah.
and the tiara. So I have the Shazam one, and the tiara comes off, and she has her lasso. This has the sword and shield. That's
Right.
really the difference. Like I want to see the head sculpts and everything differently, but it's still the same character in the same outfit. It's all the film version of Wonder Woman. So I'm curious. And then we have this 2-pack, which is the BVS Superman and Doomsday. Which I'm really surprised that they just didn't release a BVS Aquaman and make Doomsday a Build-A-Figure.
Mm, yeah, they could have done that. They could have done it as a build a figure.
You know what I'm saying? Now, I did see a picture online
I do
of
want that
a
Doomsday though.
unpainted Superman with the red AS cross out for the false god statue. I'm like, that's just the same figure without paint. But this Doomsday is
Could be
fugly.
their it could be one of their scaled statues. Not
I'm
a not a figure though.
no, it is. Like I have the picture. I was trying to send it,
Oh,
but
okay.
for some reason it wasn't going through. It's just hold on. It's been ever since this update. I don't like the way it positions my pictures, but I don't like this Doomsday. He's fugly.
He
We'll
is
talk.
fugly, but I want it.
Yeah, I know. That's the one that I want. I want the Doomsday. That's like the big figure that like is infused with kryptonite. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the only one that really want right now because it's bigger, and I hope that they still have it at GameStop and I can go buy it and be selfish. Because dang it, Tyler works hard for his money, and all he does is take care of his family. Yeah, here we go.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's the false. Like I said, it's just silver painted, which is almost the not painted. Remember they were doing
Yeah.
that for a little while where they weren't painting them. It just has
Yeah.
the cross, the graffiti over the S. Now what they should have done is do one of their large statues they do, and do the whole like pose and
The
everything like in the
pose and
movie.
yeah, a sculpt. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm still surprised that those scenes of the statue that were in the original teaser for BVS never made it into the film.
Right.
And then the McFarlane figure that came out today that was already sold out everywhere, but I think I might still be able to pre-order it from GameStop. The Christopher Reeve Superman figure. What I love about this figure is it looks like him, but it's a completely different body mold. It's
Mm-hmm.
so many of the Superman figures that we've gotten recently looks like they've just picked and choose from the different molds and put them together. And this doesn't at all.
Yeah.
Now this figure looks amazing. I will get it somehow. I'll probably end up paying more for it than I should, but I will get it. It will be mine. Oh yes.
Oh
Oh
yes,
yes.
it will be mine.
But I'm so surprised that this figure wasn't held till next year. And just started out each month releasing a different like high value Superman figure building up to the corn sweat figure.
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah, you know McFarlane will be doing a corn sweat figure next year.
interesting enough, Levi and I had this conversation. There was supposed to be a Joaquin Phoenix Joker McFarlane figure come out because they announced it at one of the conventions or toy shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not happened.
Huh.
And now they're probably like, no, guys, just forget it ever happened. Joker, what? Fully,
Yeah.
huh?
Joker.
I have no idea what you're talking about, guys. Nope, never heard of it.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I saw both clowns in theaters this October.
You went and saw
So,
me? Oh, thanks, man.
you were in a movie?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, of
called My
course I
Life.
saw. Of course I saw your movie.
Of course, it's called My
Um,
Life.
it's my life. Yep.
But
Nope. Saw Joker and saw Terrifier 3.
uh,
I
the James
love that
Coldens.
reaction. Ugh.
Nah, you're good, man. You do your thing. You're the I'm looking to make sure. I'm making sure I'm looking because I save all these images on my phone, then I upload them, and I'm just making sure I didn't miss anything else.
Gotcha.
Did I miss anything? Oh,
Oh
there was
yes,
this.
I think
There
you. I
was
think
this
you did
small
miss
picture.
something.
Ta-da, ta-da. We have our first confirmation visually of Krypto, the super dog, being in Superman 2025. It's a picture of David Cornsweat, Superman from behind, sitting with Krypto. First of
On
all,
the moon.
this looks cute. Second of all, this movie's gonna be so Silver Age. But you know what? Like we were talking about in our little personal chat here, um, I'm trying to think of like when I'm looking at this film, okay? I'm looking at it through this lens of what have we gotten on screen? I feel like the Chris films were very Bronze Age, even though it was like that into the 70s, into the 80s.
Yeah.
Brandon Routh was kind of an extension of that. Then Henry Cavill's was more of this grounded, serious, realistic styled Superman. And I feel like you have to do something different. So they're swinging a little bit more into the comic book nature of more like the Silver Age. Is the vibe that I'm getting. Not saying that's good, not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's what it is because we all know that not everybody is like us and watches every version. Is gonna be, oh, they did that on TV. No, because people aren't gonna reference the TV. We just need to think what's been presented for this character on the big screen. So they're looking at, we haven't done Krypto. He's never been in a Superman movie. Oh, okay, okay. There's only been two versions, my mistake, of Supergirl on the big screen. You know, uh, so I'm optimistic. Now, what bothers me is James Gunn released this photo, and how many people have already been hating because Krypto is not a white Labrador. And what's horrible is this version of Krypto.
Why isn't he
Okay,
like a white Krypton hound?
is based off James Gunn's actual rescue dog. And when he made the post, you can see his actual dog there with him. And he talked about how they adopted this dog and how having this dog in his life and everything, it led to Krypto being in the script. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna roll with it. I loved Super Pets was awesome, fun movie to watch with the kids with Krypto. That was awesome. I loved Krypto on Titans. Um, and that's probably been my favorite version of Krypto. Like I'm in the mood to just throw in Titans and just watch the Superboy episode
Yeah.
because it's
Um,
totally worth it.
yeah, I mean, for one, James Gunn has already proven he can bring animals to screen that you care about. Um,
Right.
he's done it. He did it in 3 movies. Uh, I'm pretty sure, that's going to be just fine. And like you said, a white Labrador. It's exactly like complaining about why isn't he just a fictional Krypton hound?
Or
Like from New 52, where he almost looks like a wolf, where he's beastly in a
yeah.
dog form. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, okay. It's like the same argument that we were talking about with the announcing of Jon Stewart's casting and people saying he's not black enough. He's not dark black enough. When the
yeah,
actor
his skin
looks like
tone isn't
Jon
dark enough.
Stewart from Justice League Unlimited. Now,
Yeah.
I, I did just watch his most recent film, Rebel Ridge, on Netflix, and watching that movie, I'm like, yeah, he's Jon Stewart.
Well, that's good. You did send that in the message.
And
I
I
mean,
had
I
you
liked him as Dev M.
right. So I already knew he was gonna be good, but watching that, I was like, oh right.
And after his casting, there was a scene I had caught. I don't know if it was from Rebel Ridge, but it was a different acting than anything on Krypton. So and he did a great job
So my biggest question to you with this wonderful Krypto
with
is
Krypto.
like, so we reviewed Scooby Doo and Krypto 2, as has been the recent most uh, animated Scooby Doo film, and I loved it. Uh, but one thing I didn't like about it, well, I don't want to say I didn't like about it, is uh, it like Krypto didn't talk, okay. And recently, having seen Super Pets the film, and then having seen where the kids and I have watched through the Krypto the Super Pup TV cartoon series, where he has like his collar has a universal translator and everything on it. It was weird to not have Krypto talk, especially in a movie where he's interacting with Scooby Doo, who's a talking dog.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that
my
just makes no
question,
sense. But if he didn't talk in this movie, I wouldn't see the issue.
and that's my question to you: do you want Krypto to talk in this movie or not?
I don't think so. I feel like that's Alan Tudyk's part, and he's just going to emote as the dog, and Krypto will do what he's there to do, and I think that's what we'll get.
Um,
He's no stranger to doing animal voices in animation. He does all kinds of noises and voices and sounds and stuff. Um,
and that makes
you know,
sense.
I feel like that's the route that we're gonna see, and Crypto will do what he's there to do. how much super stuff he's gonna do. I mean, if they fly out and sit on the moon.
Yeah. I wonder
But
if that's it, if that's just a fun promo
yeah,
image or if
it's
that's really
really
gonna be.
image is really bright. It's really colorful. Krypto's really white. He's a very white dog, and I'm all for it. And I don't think he needs to talk. I don't think he needs a translator. I just feel like he'll completely understand, direction,
Mhm.
and he'll do what needs to be done.
That's,
Like a member of the team.
so that is all I have for news. My last question to you, Mr. Cole, is how are you enjoying The Penguin?
Oh man, such a fantastic show. It is a very great mob show. um, I'm interested in seeing how it shakes out in the idea of like your villains, your rogues. They have to be the big bads. They take over from where the families left off, and like so is Penguin clearing the way for that and kind of going from there.
Yeah,
uh there's still a few episodes left of the show,
we're
and
halfway through. We
yeah.
just excuse me. We just concluded um episode 4, which is probably the best episode of the series.
Yeah, Kristen Milioti, oh my god, she is knocking it out of the park.
Mhm.
Such a great portrayal of Sophia Falcone. The way that the family dynamic, the corruption, just like blatantly she knows that she's being tortured, you know, um, for what she did, for even talking to a reporter in any way. It just such a good performance.
I mean, it is
So
really,
I'm
really
really
well
one.
done.
Yeah, because we did start at the beginning. It's year 2, and we did start at the beginning where it's like the time when organized crime should be falling away. you
Mhm.
know like that's Batman's kind of MO when he gets to Gotham, is organized crime is corrupt and they have control of the city. And so that's what he goes after. And then it's after he takes that out, you get kind of like your supervillains and stuff. How big, and just because we know that this is so early on and it's the very beginning of these characters, like, are we actually going to get to a Batman universe that has like supervillains in control of Gotham, at
Well,
least Gotham's underworld?
I really hope by the end of the Penguin series, we're gonna have him officially like rise to the Penguin, and he will have somehow successfully taken out the Falcons and the Maronis. But
Yeah, and I mean that's the end of chapter 2. And
mm,
then honestly, chapter 3 in the story, in the crime saga, is going to be the Batman 2, and that's only supposed to take place, shortly thereafter in the winter afterwards.
yep.
So it's definitely, it's like what what Batman story, what Batman universe are we getting? Just because this is such a mob show,
Hmm.
um, but he's got to be becoming the Penguin. He's one of the biggest mobsters in Gotham. He's one of Batman's primary rogues.
I've been reading. I think I just finished, or I'm caught up with Tom King's Penguin.
Penguin, yeah.
Yeah,
I read the first couple of issues of that, and it was really good.
yeah, it was really good. So,
Or
all
maybe
right.
until he made his way back to Gotham, which is only a few issues in. But yeah, I mean, amazing show. I really have I want to see how it can continue to go. You know, we got the Riddler who's alive at the end, Joker who's alive. I don't assume Penguin's going to die
That would be.
in the end of this show.
I have my own kind of thoughts of what's going to happen, but we will
I'm
have
a
to.
little more on the lines of what you were kind of thinking.
Yeah. All right. So now it's time to get into, as we shift gears and go into comics, Superman and Wonder Woman power couple from the New 52.
Hmm.
Ooh. This was, I'm pulling up my notes here. Give me a second here. Slow but steady. Everyone knows Superman and Wonder Woman have joined forces to stop evil, but what will happen when their enemies, not to mention their general public, so that the two of the strongest beings on earth are partnered up in more ways than one? How long can the world's most powerful couple keep their relationship a secret while also facing down the deadliest villains in the universe? Doomsday, Apollo, Zod. Superman and Wonder Woman Volume 1 Power Couple collects issues 1 through 7 with Rising Star writer Charles Soule and sensational artist Tony S. Daniel. All right. James, what did you think just overall about this book?
I mean, you said sensational artist. I agree. The freaking book is gorgeous.
Oh,
Um,
I love his art. When he did Nightwing for the New 52, it was amazing.
mhm. um, it's a it's a good book. You know, it really makes you see that these two characters could have a relationship in a universe.
What was your first thought at this time when we're so this series came out October 9th of 2013 is when issue 1 dropped.
Right.
So
So I knew,
that's 2 years roughly in it is 2 years into the New 52.
yeah. So I knew that Superman and Lois, that Clark and Lois were just friends. I knew where the ideas and things were, that it was early on, that a lot of their experiences hadn't happened because it was the New 52. It had only been up to 5 years, and books filled in those times and those gaps and things. So when it was announced that they were going to be a couple, I thought that it made actually complete sense. Um, and there's, there's things within Superman mythology that, like, he's been trained to fight, like, by Bruce when he doesn't have powers and things like that. But I think also the idea of, on Earth, he's the strongest being. Like, he doesn't have to necessarily be the greatest fighter. Um, so he hasn't been up to that challenge. But having to learn to fight in a style with that type of strength and those type of powers, Wonder Woman training him to do that, is was really a great idea and appealing to me.
That was one of my favorite parts was where she talks like you are strong and you rely on that strength, but you are untrained.
Hmm.
And the idea of actually training him how to fight. I liked them as a couple. I remember the was is it Justice League number 12 is when you finally see them together on the on the cover, and I just remember thinking like that's cool, that's different because if we're going to do the New 52 and we're really supposed to be quote unquote taking our time and building these characters up, when everybody else is trying to rush to get these characters back to the status quo. Instead of actually letting these characters grow and have a new world. I was like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, I was completely for this idea. It made complete sense.
So we're not going to go issue by issue. We're trying to find better ways of reviewing and talking about this. Um, one of the biggest things that happens in the first issue is Doomsday appears. Now, this is Doomsday's first appearance in the New 52. Okay, I thought about this because we've read Superman and we've read Action, and it's Doomsday coming through the Phantom Zone, and Wonder Woman fights with Doomsday, and then Superman fights with him. Then he disappears, and it's actually issue 7, which is the last one of this, that is a prelude to Superman Doomed, which we'll be getting about, which we talked about. So we'll be getting. So that is actually, if you think about it, in the New 52, Superman's only encounter with Doomsday is the Doom story arc. That's Doomsday's history in this. So, because when we were doing Doomed, I was like, where does Doomsday appear in the New 52? Well, it starts here.
Yeah, he was trapped in the Phantom Zone.
In the second, so that's kind of the big thing in the first one. The second issue has Superman meet Apollo, who is the god of the sun, who decides to blast Superman, attacking him as he kind of talks down to Diana. And what happens, James, when Superman gets a lot of sun exposure?
He becomes supercharged.
And he backslaps Apollo. I mean, he's like, you're a god. Okay, cool. I don't have to hold back. Well, bam. So that was cool. I know how much James likes, people getting slapped.
Yeah, the way he dispatches with Apollo in this after being charged up, he punches him uh, then that's when he blasts him, and then when he grabs him and just throws him out of a mountain. Like, he's inside of a mountain and he throws him straight up out of a
Now,
mountain and into the sky. And that's the last we see of him in the issue. So, like, it must have been effective.
yeah. Now, I will say this. I did read all of Brian Azzarello's Wonder Woman title. It's been a while because I read it when it first came out. And I remember what was neat about that was the Wonder Woman book itself kind of took place at a different time and was all Greek set. So she wasn't with the other heroes. She wasn't, and I think maybe later on she did, but like the first major whole run of it or whatever was all Greek gods and stuff. And
Yeah, that's actually a book I want to read. That's one I haven't read yet.
so don't quote me on this, everybody, because like I said, it's been a while since I've read it. And in I can't remember, I think it's issue 4. We meet Steve Trevor. So I'm trying to remember, what book was Steve Trevor and Wonder Woman's relationship? Was that just in Justice League?
It must have been.
Because I think I might just reread Justice League New 52 just for fun. Because
That
Jeff
was one book.
Johns.
Yeah, that was actually one book that I followed. I bought that as it came out on the DC app at the time.
So yeah, that was one that I read. I just don't. It's been. I mean, the New 52 ended in 2016, so it's been since then that I read all this, and then after a while, some of the stories start to get jumbled together because there's just so much. Because Steve Trevor gets referenced, and I don't remember him in the Wonder Woman book, but I'll have to go back. So the next big beat of this story, as we get some lines, and I can't remember which issue it is, about how Clark sees himself as human, even though he's not. Diana, how she perceives herself as a goddess and above humans in a way, and she doesn't feel the need to hide who she is, while Clark, is Superman and Clark Kent. She just is fine with just always being Diana. And we see Diana's, sparring with shoot, why can't I think of her
Hestia.
name? Hestia. Thank you. I was like, I'm drawing a blank. It was I had the H, but I had one in my head. I'm like, that's not right, Tyler. Um, but a certain somebody slips through the Phantom Zone, James.
Yeah, somebody.
And who might that be?
General Zod.
General Zod. I don't know why I did it like that. That was fun. Uh,
And
but
this is the Zod that I kind of recognize the most. This is
so
more along the lines of his normal design.
so this Zod, okay, is probably my favorite looking Zod. And we've talked about this before, how a lot of times we get these images and everything of Zod that don't match up. Every version of Zod somehow looks different. And I feel like this Zod's been the most
Consistent model.
yes, thank you. See, this is why James is here with me. And this is we're looking at the dates. This is late 2013, so this is after Man of Steel, because Feora is straight out of Man of Steel.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's definitely out of Man of Steel in this book.
So we get
I
Zod
need to
showing up.
reference her chest symbol just to see how close that is, but
Yes,
other than that, her body armor, her hairstyle, she's straight up out of there. Zod beats the crap out of Martian Manhunter
yes, he
in this
does.
issue.
He ridiculously destroys Martian Manhunter, and this is where Martian Manhunter and Green Arrow are building up the Justice League of America, which is another team of heroes separate from the Justice League, that which leads to Trinity War, but that's a whole other story. Um, but Zod comes out, he's powerful. Clark doesn't know who he is, and this is Zod's introduction in the New 52. So once again, we're having a major Superman villain appear 2 years after the launch of this title series, not in Superman's title book, the Superman Wonder Woman book.
I mean, he is
Just
a headliner in the book, but yeah, both
it's
too, Doomsday and Zod.
exactly. And I'm just like, and this is kind of helping putting things in perspective, just going back. And what's interesting is Clark puts Zod in a cage, and Zod is able to slip out because what he learns is it's basically a Kryptonian version of a shipping container. And they have default passwords. But since Clark wouldn't know that about their technology and everything, Zod was able to say the generic password, slip
Walk
out.
in and walk out.
Yep. And then, of course, Feora arrives. So you have Zod and Feora now versus Superman and Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman for a while couldn't find Clark, or they couldn't find Wonder Woman. The Justice League couldn't find her, and she left to go help Clark battle.
Well,
Um,
so what happened just before Feora shows up is Kat breaks the story. She received a flash drive of Superman and Wonder Woman as a couple, kissing, out dating, and she runs it. So it's all over. So that kind of gets in between Superman and Wonder Woman in this moment. And they both kind of talk to people, and she goes off to do what she needs to do. And we end up seeing that she goes off to Themyscira, and she ends up having to uh, close up the gates of Tartarus while she's there, and then she leaves, and that's when they can't reach her. And that at that point, while she's gone, is when we have Feora and Zod attacking and beating on Superman before she's able to be reached as she's leaving the island.
and during this battle, um, Apollo supercharges after Superman and Wonder Woman have the upper hand. Apollo supercharges just to get back at Superman, Feora, and Zod. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Superman and Wonder
James,
Woman get this awesome armor from Hephaestus.
yeah, they do. I love Hephaestus. He's my favorite, like, named um character because his name is just like ridiculously hard to say. But my question to you, so Superman and Wonder Woman get the armor, they're fighting uh with Zod and Feora. They use like the armor bust to put them down. And then, like I said, they get supercharged. They put Wonder Woman, they're building a gateway to bring War World from the Phantom Zone into the real world. They're inside the nuclear reactor. Okay. And they use Wonder Woman's sword to split an atom. Okay. And that's where the book ends. Then
Split a nuclear atom and cause a
the next
nuclear explosion.
the next book is number 7, which is a prelude to Doom, that starts like in the future shortly and goes back and tells a little bit about their story of waking up and Clark healing and protecting her and getting his powers back. Okay. And how he got her to Hestia to use the purple ray to save her life, and how he went to the fortress to be repaired. And then we see Doomsday appear in the sea. What happened to Zod and Feora? And like they're still out there. And that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So my thought is, all right, that's the end of volume 1. I'm like, okay, so next we have Doomed crossover in volume 2, which I thought was volume 3. Could be wrong. Okay. So we're gonna go through that. And I'm like, do Feora and Zod show back up in this title? Do they get some sort of conclusion in the new 52? I don't know.
You know, it's been a while since I've read this line, so we'll see.
Right. We will see.
So, interesting thing, just off the a little bit off the beaten path there. We got the end shot there of the Doomsday Fist coming up out of the water. Looks great. Very reminiscent of, if you've read the new action book, the latest action books, you get the Doomsday Fist bashing at the gates of hell.
Well, I mean, it's just like the original Doomsday breaking out. So yeah, just foreshadowing for people, our next episode will be, when we cover the next book, it'll be a little shorter just because we'll be talking about things that we missed just because we did so much of Doomed already. But okay, today's big discussion. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Superman and
Discussion.
Lois, episode 3, season 4, Always My Hero.
Season 4, episode 3.
Yes, I said that, or did I reverse
No,
that?
I think you reversed it.
Season 4, episode 3, Always My Hero. Thank you, James.
You're welcome.
That's why I keep him around, people. That's why I keep him around. Reeling from failure, Jordan begins to spiral. Jonathan discovers a newfound strength. General Lane recruits John Henry and Natalie Irons before making a choice that will change everything. That is a really good summary without giving away anything.
It is.
All right. Overview, James, before we dive into
I mean, as I said on the top of the episode, I mean, third episode in a row that's made me cry. It's I cried more the second time watching it than I did the first time.
I'm just a big ball of emotion, okay? Dealing with, the story of my favorite character's death here, dealing with personal tragedy, and then having that whole thing around me right now. And then this episode comes along, and it's all about Sam's love for his daughter. And James and I both being fathers of daughters, there's
Mhm.
there's connective tissue there, and you're just like, oh man. Uh, but let's
Yeah.
get into it. Let me pull out my
Great.
handy
Just
dandy notebook.
right? Just a great episode. Man, like I think we just need to jump into the episode and just start talking about it.
Yep, I'm getting my. All right. The episode opens reusing the theme music from the pilot. Um, we learn that John Henry and Natalie are Metropolis, and that the vial from of Mannheim's serum um, is being requested by Sam Lane. We get the flashback of Clark and Lois telling uh, Sam that he's Superman, and I love it because I love like
Oh, I love this scene too.
what I loved about this scene. Where I need to wear them more, but I have my blue light glasses that I have a
Uh,
pair here and I have a pair at work. So I stare at screens all day.
so they're sitting across and they say they feel obligated to share the fact that they are engaged and that well no, not that they're
No, they're
engaged,
not engaged yet. They
but that
have
they're
something
together,
else.
but they are together at this point.
Yes,
And they're there to share the fact that he is Superman with Sam.
I can't find
And
my glass.
he doesn't believe him. He doesn't believe him. So he stands up and
But
in
he's like,
slow motion you get this triumphant music and he just takes off his glasses and looks at Sam and just gives him a little
where
ta-da.
where'd James go?
And yeah,
Where James?
you don't know.
James, where
There's
are you?
some
Where?
strangers on the pod.
Oh, there's our James. Where did you go, man?
Yeah.
You've disappeared.
So I absolutely love just how hard they leaned into it. Like, just the glasses, man. He just took the glasses off and he's like, well, I'll be damned. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I was like expecting him to do the,
yeah, I just
and
just
then
just the glasses, how much it was the music. It was fully committed to all he needs to do is take off those glasses and you can picture him as Superman.
and technically this is what the fourth time we've seen him reveal his identity to somebody. We saw the flashback of him revealing it to Lois,
Mm-hmm.
him to the boys,
Yep. And
him
to
to
Lana.
Lana. Kyle's doesn't really count because he was just like, I gotta go, like, and flew away. Like it was a heat of the moment type thing.
Yeah.
And it was good. Like, and it was a great scene of just like you said, I expected him to do more of the fly up, kind of like hover up, rip the shirt
Yeah.
and everything.
Yeah.
But
Take
that's
off
but
the glasses, do a little, yeah, about a foot
yeah.
off the floor and just psh.
So
But no, I loved how they just leaned into it. Like, that's it. Yeah.
we get Natasha and John talking about the offer that Sam's making them. And John says, we should have helped Clark. And they're like, no, he told us not to. If ever there's a time not to listen to somebody,
Yeah.
just say it. But
Yep. He's like, he would have not helped us.
you know, they talk about the DoD's offer and how they won't be able to do steelworks, and she won't be able to go to the DoD school. And my question to you is, where's the DoD located? Because the way they talk about the DoD, because they're in Metropolis, I thought the DoD was in Metropolis.
Hmm.
But some of the way
Uh,
they talk about it, it doesn't seem like it is. I don't know. I'm just talking to you, like,
I mean,
just
it's got to be somewhere pretty close to Smallville, I guess.
I mean,
Oh, well, I don't know. John could just fly her there.
so I just, you know what? I don't know. That's all I'm going to say. It throws me off because they talk about it as if it's like, oh, I thought we were going to Metropolis. Now we're gonna go for the DoD. Isn't that in the same place? But whatever. Um, then comes one of the best scenes in this entire episode. We have a scene between Jonathan and Jordan where Jonathan just starts freaking out and he really goes completely emotional to Jordan about how he's, always supposed to be okay and how it's okay for Jordan to be emotional and get uh and let everything out. And Jania literally looks to me and says, if there ever was a time I wanted Jonathan to have powers, this would be it. And Jonathan punches the wood and hurts his hand and he's freaking out. Then all of a sudden, what happens, James Cole?
John gets powers. He starts hearing everything around him, the sirens, people talking. He starts seeing in different spectrums of vision. Particularly, we see the X-ray vision. He sees his hand doing that repair thing with the light and everything inside the body. So his hand fixes itself. He kind of does a freeze breath, little exhale moment, and the ship activates and like reveals it. I don't know, his own sunstone. I don't
I
know
guess
if it has
so.
most of them or what. If it has more, but what? Yeah,
All right,
or
so we're
if
gonna
it just
pause.
creates them.
So we're gonna pause here for deep thoughts with James and Tyler. How do you feel about John getting powers?
Um, I mean, I feel the way that Jordan got his powers in a physical manner, kind of in that heat of the moment, fell from a far height, rescue my brother type moment. That he got his powers. John is at this incredibly heightened emotional state. The way he kind of is lashed out um, in this episode, especially towards Jordan and missing Clark and anger and you know breaking his hand on that beat on that post. It's I like the way that it was done, and it, for the most part, John has been more aligned with like Clark's sensibilities, in a helping way, especially the new casting for the last
Yeah,
two seasons. He's definitely been more aligned with Clark. Um, so I just and then the way he reacts in this episode about just wanting to help and wanting to wanting to learn and take his time to get there,
I think
which is reflective in Lois, what she said about Jordan getting his powers.
I'm kind of at two minds with this. Because they've always kind of aligned that Jonathan was a lot like Lois and where his strength lies. We had Jonathan studying to be a fireman, and now he has powers, which I guess makes sense in this. With like you said, Jordan's came from a lot of emotional trauma and just growing up and having a lot of emotional issues, and he kind of seemed to mellow out more once his powers kicked in. Like his body was always at war with himself.
Yeah,
Um,
and it was that physical event that kind
yeah,
of
that
triggered it
triggered.
for them.
And so with Jonathan, now the first thing I've said this, we have said this before. This Jonathan is not a 1-to-1 ratio of the Jonathan in the comics.
No.
These characterizations, if you go back, even though technically we're on a different Earth, um, there was the character of Jonathan Kent, but then in Crisis, when he came back, they were twins. So they kind of split that character into two characters. Jonathan and Jordan, and with one Jordan being with the powers, and now Jonathan has powers. It's still not the same John Kent that we have in the comics. It is a different play on the Sun characters. Um, him having powers, we'll talk about, as we move through the story, but it works for where we are in the story. Um, I do think it's interesting because it really makes Jordan feel diminished. When John gets powers, like all of a sudden, what was helping Jordan be more prominent that he had powers, because John gets all of his powers and immediately starts adapting to be able to use them and not have this like the issues that Jordan had with his powers.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, I mean that also comes from the idea of him being an athlete, more in tuned with his body, and he has more time with it, just with the idea of training and reacting to your body,
mhm.
you know?
And so the next parts I had to laugh at as the funniest part in this episode. And it's one of those things that's not funny until I point this out. But you have John Henry and Nat sitting in the back of a truck having a picnic on a tailgate in the middle of the road. And his quote is literally, "But this is what normal people do. They sit in nature and have a picnic." Yeah, but not on the in the middle of the road. You pull off somewhere. Like, so I had to laugh at that, but that's me. Um but this is like to go, so that was kind of intercut with how everyone's now talking about how great Jonathan is. Oh, Jonathan has his powers, and they're just kind of forgetting about that Jordan's there and that Jonathan and Jordan together could be something. But now it's like, oh, Jonathan's got his powers. Like even when Lois tells Sam about how great it is, like, oh, Jonathan, yay, finally, I didn't tell you how I trained Jordan, but I'm going to tell you, be upfront with Jonathan. It's all about that. And it's like,
Well, the whole story, over the seasons. I mean, when he trained Jordan, they kept it a secret from Lois and from Clark. They got him started that way, so I mean, that's a mistake that he's learned from. So he's not going to do that again. But um, within this episode, the story is here. Jonathan is even if he doesn't fully believe it, he's blaming Jordan for the heart being destroyed, him not listening, him going all half cocked after Lex Luthor for the heart. He's blaming Jordan for them not being able to save their dad, you know? So he didn't get to have the last few years. It's been, Clark has always come back around and made it better for the boys no matter what issues that they were having individually, but the last 3 years it's Jordan's had the powers, and so there's been some closeness and familiarity between Clark and Jordan for the last couple of years. So Jonathan, all of that, and he's lost his dad. So in the episode, he blames him for it, and then he tries to apologize to him and tries to get him to come to the DOD with them, but ultimately he just he's Jordan's feeling diminished, feeling jealous for the fact that he's got his powers and he's taking so easily to them. But
I mean, you're absolutely right. It just is like you're taking away the one thing that Jordan had going for him. We get the flashback of Clark going to Sam to ask for Lois's hand for marriage. It's a really great scene, and Sam has a quote about the evil that is coming out there. And he tries to draw parallels between his relationship with his wife and Clark and Lois's, and he basically tells Sam, like, I don't care. I'm doing this out of respect because we want you to be part of our family. Um, but I'm gonna ask her anyways. It's a really great scene because Sam's like, no, that's a terrible idea. And we see that Sam's already proposed for Clark to work for the DOD. The next scene is a little bit it's interesting. It's Doomsday in the subway eating, being fed by Lex.
Huh. Yeah.
And it's like it really is like Doomsday's Lex's pet. And I feel like with Doomsday, the less we see, the better. Because then it kind of diminishes that menace.
Yeah. Well, we know that this Doomsday has a sense of self to it, being made reanimated from the bizarro corpse of Superman.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's going to come back around some way. Um, Lex says he has a plan for Sam, and we have John and Natalie show up at the DoD, and they give codename Steel and Starlight.
Yeah.
That's not what her comic book name is, it?
No, they just call her Steel, but most of the time they just call her Natasha.
Shouldn't they call her like Steely or Iron Heart or not Iron Heart? That's another thing, but like Iron Hammer or something. I don't know. Iron because
No.
she's irons.
When
Because
they're talking to each other, it's just it's just Natasha.
yeah, exactly. And I meant to say this earlier. The twins both having powers with Jonathan Jordan make me think of the book Superman's Secret Identity. Uh, so I kind of I thought of that story. If you've not read that, you should go check that out. We have Agent Janelle Jones, which I was like, isn't that the artist? Isn't there an artist named Janelle Jones? Didn't she draw recently the Wonder Girl with Lara or Laura or the new Wonder Girl? What's her name?
Yara.
Yara. See, so I keep James around. People, he's my too tired for this. We need to start podcasting again in the mornings.
But that only limits us to a couple of days a week that we could do it.
We'll just start going into work late.
Yep. No, podcast comes first.
Yeah, we have Lex show up in the barn. And it's like afternoon, Superboy to Jordan. Jordan lights up his eyes. Dude, I probably would be at a hair trigger and just be like, and just shoot Lex in the face and be like, oh, no more Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
In
would have looked like a Homelander kind of thing, blowing out the back of his skull with my eye lasers.
I feel like if we had more episodes in this season, in this series, they might try to do something of like Jordan and Jonathan against each other or something. Much like how we had Tal versus Clark. And I think what'll be more interesting is if you somehow you flip the script in the development where Jonathan's the one that starts to go more bad.
Yeah.
And in everything. But we don't have that kind of time for that type of storyline right now. We do learn because Lex is the master of manipulation, which Jordan's not thinking clearly with his teenage boy brain. That Lois did choose Jonathan for which son to save. And then I have another quote from the beautiful Jania. I would hate to see Jordan not rise above this, because if he just stays in this emotional area, he's not really growing. Jordan is not going to grow as a character. His whole thing has been his emotional reactions to things. So,
yeah. I mean, he had an emotional reaction. He went to visit, to confront her on it. He asks her, the recording has more than was said in the last episode.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that's supposed to come from. If that's just Lex manipulation, or
we heard the beep of her, and then
we heard the beep, but it was said just have a nice day.
And then
thanks for participating. Yeah, not even thanks for participating. It's just I think it just said have a nice day.
I think that's just compression or time compression stuff so that we don't hear what she picked for this. But like I looked at Jania and said, Lex is going to manipulate them in any way possible. So it could all be lies with a little bit of truth. but he says your mother is a liar, and tell her that. And so yeah, like you said, Jordan does confront her, and um and he goes to the DoD and confronts Jonathan and Lois, and she basically tells him like, you have powers, and he's like, you knew I was in trouble. Jonathan wasn't in trouble. She's like, I didn't know that. And she does,
Yeah, for
says,
all for all anybody knows, I mean, he was at Lex's place. Jordan was in the shipping yard, and Lois was at home. They were all in three different locations. Nobody knew what anybody was doing at that moment. I mean, we talked about how she could have picked either one out of multiple rationales of different why she could pick one or the other. Um,
and
and
no
in
parent.
this one, picking picking the one without powers kind of like seems like maybe you know
Yeah.
your best possible choice of that person surviving.
So we have the flashback to the wedding day, and Clark's talking to Martha. It was good to see Martha, and Sam's overhearing, and then Sam goes and talks with Lois, and that was a really an emotional. Uh, or no, wait, hold on. I'm mixing two scenes together. My mistake. We have Sam overhear Clark talking to Martha at the wedding. Now we have Sam in his office who gets a gun pulled on him by Jones, who shoots Sam. Sam had the serum from Mannheim and injects the serum into himself.
Hmm.
And my first thought was, dear God, is he going to go like Red Hulk, basically like Thunderbolt Ross here? And it's going to be Sam, Monster
Like
Sam versus,
Sam Blockbuster Sam.
right, versus Doomsday. And we see Doomsday flying into the DoD, and it says code name is Kryptonite. And I was like, why is the code name not Doomsday? Like,
Yeah.
um, but something that we kind of I don't know if we talked about this. I know you and I did. I don't know if we recorded this. That producer, showrunner Todd Helbing had said that one of the things they wanted to do in this series and season that they didn't get to was the Phantom Zone. So there will be
Mhm.
no Phantom Zone. I want to throw that out there. But Doomsday interacts fighting with the Irons. And of course, they both get swatted away. And then we have Sam v. Doomsday. Then we get the flashback of Sam,
Pretty
basically,
one-sided.
Sam walking Lois down the aisle
Yeah.
and talking to her and um, preparing her for her wedding day and everything.
Well,
And then,
ultimately giving her, because Clark said that it's not fair to Lois, and ultimately, uh, Sam gives Lois their blessing. So that means, that means a lot to Lois before the wedding.
Doomsday. So before they go out there, Sam had told John Henry Irons, like, you have to do everything I say. um, Doomsday kills Sam because Sam refuses to give up the location of Elizabeth. And Sam dies protecting Lois and Elizabeth, as he told her he would always protect her. Um, John Henry takes the body to the fortress and shows up and immediately is recognized by Lara, and she recognizes John Henry Irons. And what we learn is Sam, with the injection of the serum, is now enhancing his heart to take it to the fortress for his heart to be planted into Superman to bring Clark back. And Lara says it may take more days for Kal-El to return. And then we get the video message from Sam. Um, it's really emotional. Uh, I'm tearing up just thinking about it because, like I said, I'm already on the brink of just too much emotional stuff and
Yeah.
dealing with
I think
actual loss in my life. And this story, it's a hard hitter. But basically, just Jania was in tears here, and mentions the idea of the man that she loves with the heart of her dad. So he's there too.
yeah.
So um, now the episode opened, and we didn't talk about this, where they're preparing for a Clark with a they're preparing for a funeral with voiceover by Lois, and you think it's Clark's funeral, but
Yeah.
it's a memorial service that they're having for Sam. Now, I like to think that the DoD had some large military funeral for Sam, being a military person and everything. Um, but this is a small scale funeral for the family that they're putting a plaque for Sam at the farm near Martha. Um, and that because John Henry and Nat are there. And my favorite part was the boys are wearing their shirts that he got
Mm-hmm.
them to go fishing. So they
Yeah.
have these bright. Jania starts laughing like, "Where are those shirts?" And I
Yeah.
was like,
The
and I was like,
bright
I could,
red.
and I
Yeah.
was like, I
Matching
don't
shirts.
remember what season it was, but he got them that for fishing, and
Yep.
they're wearing those shirts with black jackets over top of it, and
Yeah, it was super cute. Them wearing their grandfather's matching shirts.
and I'll let you talk about the final scene.
Um, so the final scene, we cut back to the fortress, and the camera pans up the suspended animation table that Clark has been laying in. Um, Pan up across his body. He's got a repaired suit.
Yeah, I put that in.
The chest plate is there, and up to Superman's face, and he gasps and opens his eyes.
Which is awesome. But I feel like there's gonna be some sort of complication or something. Um, this episode was definitely a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. Um, my one complaint, I have one complaint, and do you know what it is?
Uh, no, what is it?
I wish they could have got the Xmas Channing Tatum's wife. Can't remember her name
Oh,
as
yeah,
Lucy back for just the
Jenna
shot of
Dewan.
yes. See, running slow. Um, for that shot at the end of
Yeah,
the funeral of having Lucy there with the family.
because Lucy was in the second season of the
Yeah,
show. She was
and
there.
so
Um,
it's not like the character is not
yeah, like she
present.
doesn't exist. It a lot of this episode only made it seem like um Lois was the only child, but
Yeah, and
um,
it would have been nice at least in dialogue
yeah,
to like
he
if
never
Sam would have
references my girls or anything. He just talks about Lois.
yeah, if he would have been like, tell your sister I love her too.
At the very least,
Just
you
something
know.
in dialogue. That's always what gets me. Like if you can't get the actor there, just reference it in dialogue. But all right, he's waking up. What are your thoughts? Like, is he gonna come back and his heart like can keep him alive, but too much strain on it could kill him? Like, he's not gonna be full powered. He's not gonna have his powers at first. Wh-
Right.
where are you thinking, James?
Ah, that's tough. That's a toughie. Um,
Is the final scenes of this series going to be Superman and his two sons in costume fighting Doomsday?
what that'd be kind of cool. Um, what would be kind of cool is if say Clark is got diminished powers, but he has his two sons, train his two sons up to take his kind of take his place. And he's like Superman in the Authority. Remember Superman in the Authority, where he's like lower powered, where he can only kind of hover, like flying is not
Yeah.
his thing anymore, kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know, maybe an interesting idea amalgam of those types of characters.
Mm-hmm.
Get Jordan and John to be like your Connor and John Kent out there in the world, and he's like your older Superman gets to spend a little more time with his wife.
Yeah. So I'm intrigued. I
He
like how
gets
they
the
did
man who has everything, or not the man who has everything. What happened to the man of
the men's team.
tomorrow? Ending.
I I like that they're moving this story along and we're not wasting time.
Yeah, I'm happy they brought him back. That Superman is back in this. Like I said, what capacity with the human heart, but he had the Superman serum um, in his blood at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. Um
Hell, like I said, I was still kind of surprised when Lex was able to smash the heart. You know what I mean?
and yeah, we've theorized that maybe it wasn't the real heart. Um but the only thing we kind of missed was the fact that when they get back to the when Jonathan and Lois get back and have to tell Jordan that grandpa's dead.
Yeah.
So, but hey, Superman and Lois is back and this show is I'm going to miss it when it's gone.
And yeah, I'm just happy we're gonna get it week to week until it's all done.
Yes.
Like no breaks,
And
hopefully.
I finished purchasing my pass. So, let's just get that email in the morning that says Superman and Lois is ready.
Nice.
But all right, everybody, check out Krypton Report with James the Yawning Cole and
I
Tyler the
can't
Sleepy
stop.
Patrick.
I
I
can't
know.
stop.
Um, check out our YouTube and
I've been
check out
trying.
our exit video. And remember,
Look up in the sky!
thank you for joining us today on the Krypton Report. We ask you check out our social media. We have a YouTube where we do YouTube specials. You can check out our dollar Patreon, like we talked about, where we do specials. Check the QR code here. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on X and all other social media.